G'day everyone. Today we're going to be having a look at a very simple workflow that will show how we can use Zapier to save an attachment from an incoming email into Google Drive and also to add it to a new database item in Notion. So let's check it out.
Okay, so we're looking at a simple invoice processing workflow today. The way it will work is a vendor will send an email to us that will contain an invoice as an attachment. Within Gmail, we've created a rule that will assign a label to these vendor emails. And once that label is assigned, that will act as a trigger for a workflow in Zapier, or a Zap, as Zapier calls their workflows. That Zap will extract the invoice file along with some other details from that email. It will upload the attached invoice to a folder in Google Drive, create a new item in a Notion database, and then attach that uploaded file to that new database item, along with some other information. Okay, let's get building. I've created a filter in Gmail that will capture emails from my email address with the subject demo invoice. It will then apply the label invoices to that email. So all the emails I want to capture will be assigned the invoices label, and they will be picked up by Zapier in the next step. I've created a database in Notion called demo invoices, which has a field called status, which gives the options for either processed or received, and also a field to store the Google Drive document, or the link to the Google Drive document. We have a folder in Google Drive called Invoices, and this is where we'll store the invoice attachment from the test email. So switching over to Zapier, what we want to do here is create a new Zap, which is Zapier's name for a workflow. And we'll go ahead and give it a name. Something very creative. And first thing we need to do is assign a trigger. What we want to do is pick the Gmail trigger, and we want to pick an event where a new labeled email is detected. So I've already configured this with my Gmail account. And now we want to pick the specific label, which was the invoices label. Okay, and finally, it's always a good idea to test each step, so we'll test this trigger. And to do that, we want to send a test email from the email address that the filter had been set up to detect. So I've just created a sample invoice, which we'll be sending. And if we jump back into Gmail, we will see that email has arrived and the filter has worked and has assigned a new label. So fantastic, we can see that's been picked up by Zapier, and it's extracted a whole lot of information. We won't need all of that, it will just be a few fields that we'll be interested in. So next we pick an action, and what we want to do to start with, we'll start with the Notion action. And what we want to do is create a new database item. So we'll select create database item and continue. I've already set up my Notion workspace in Zapier, and we'll want to select that demo invoices database within Notion. So I'll click on that. And what we'll do, the name field is the ID field for that particular database. So just for the purpose of this demo, we'll create something that's probably going to be unique. So I'll use the name of the email sender, and I'll append the sent date or received date onto that. So the next step is to send the attach the invoice file, but before we can do that, we need to upload that file to Gmail. So we'll add another action, Google Drive, and we want to select the upload file event. Again, I've already configured my Google Drive account with Zapier, and if I select Drive, I only have one Google Drive associated with my account. So we'll select the folder, which was under Demo, and then we go to the next one level down, and we'll select Invoices. Okay, now we'll leave we'll put the file in, that is the attachment. We'll just select all attachments for this. We know there's only going to be one for our demo, but there may be more than one, but we'll keep it simple for this example. We'll select false, we don't want to convert it into a Google Doc, and we'll leave file name and file extension blank, so it will just use the name of the file from the email. Okay, now we are ready to give it a test. Okay, so if we jump back into Google Drive, and we can see the attachment has been uploaded to that particular folder. Okay, so now if we jump back into the create database item for Notion, go back to actions, now we can attach the invoice file or the link to the invoice file from Google Drive. So what we want to do, we want to find the embed link from the upload file in Google Drive action. Yep, the embedded link. Add that in there. And under the vendor field, we'll just use the name of the sender, just for simplicity's sake. And we'll change the status to received. Okay, and finally we can test that step. Okay, if we jump into Notion, we can see we have a new item in there, status received, and a link to the invoice in Google Drive. If we jump back into the Zapier editor, we are now ready to publish this Zap. So we'll start actively listening to incoming emails that get assigned that invoices label. I won't transfer the existing data here. We don't need to use that test data we used. Okay, now that Zap is now live. It sometimes takes a couple of minutes for it to appear. So what we'll do now is we'll send another test email. Make sure to add demo invoice into the subject, and we'll just attach the same sample invoice file. So we send that through, check back in Gmail, and we now have a second invoice. If we go into Google Drive, just give that a refresh, and we have a new invoice added to the folder. And finally, back in Notion, we can see we have a new database item that has been added with the status received and the link to the Google Drive file.
Okay, that's it for the demo today. let me know in the comments if you found that useful, and if you have any ideas or want to see any other demos for any other scenarios. Okay, see you next time.